Alright, coming up in today's video, we're going to be covering everything you need to know and the important questions you should be asking when buying new construction condos. Coming up next, stay tuned, very important stuff guys. Pow! Okay, so you went out, you found that new construction project that you're definitely interested in maybe purchasing some units. Now, before jumping into signing on that dotted line, there's a few things you want to verify. Now, when it comes down, obviously we cannot go into the units as pre-construction, so we're going on the specs of the floor plans and what they're advertising. So one thing you want to start to do when you're looking at new drawings and all that, you want to verify the actual square footage and what they're advertising and what is incorporated with that square footage. And what I mean by that is square footage including exterior walls and interior walls. So you want to find out the boundaries and what they're advertising and what the actual square footage is. Because it's gonna, especially when you're on the smaller units, all of a sudden they're advertising 650 square feet, but they're including interior walls and all that, all of a sudden that will drop in total square footage. So that is something you want to verify when you're doing new construction. Now there's a few things you might want to find out in terms of, is there any way you can make changes with placements of walls, windows, doorways, types of doors, and if so, what are the costs of these changes? Because depending on what you like and what your preferences, you may want to make a few changes to the interior. You want to find out obviously what that's going to cost. Now while you're at it, you want to find out that throughout the unit, if there's going to be any reduced height for maybe ductwork, mechanical stuff, this is going to affect obviously the overall aesthetics, but also when it comes down to lights, fixtures, decoration, furniture, it might obviously change the way. So you want to know this going into it. Now, while we're talking about mechanical components, it's a good idea to find out if there's going to be any mechanical components in the unit, where they're located, and how much square footage they're going to be taking out. Now, what I mean by this is could be your AC equipment, could be your hot water tank. Obviously, if they're in a room, in a closet, that square footage is going to be unusable for you, so it's a good thing to know where they're at and what they're taking up. Okay, next we're going to talk about specific questions you should be asking any developer when you buy into their building. Number one would be how noise is being controlled. Is there any special steps through construction that they're doing that might be over and above the industry standard? Two is going to be how the units are being heated, ventilated, cooled. Is it forced? Is it a boiler system? All these, obviously, you're going to want to know going into it. Number three, is the building energy efficient? And if so, what special equipment are they using? And what's potentially the cost to run this? How are odors being controlled or eliminated throughout the building? That's obviously going to rely on the construction and ventilation part. All these great questions to be asking. Some more great questions is who operates the air conditioning and who maintains it. So is this your responsibility or is this the building's responsibility? Now, in terms of the water, is there efficient ways being done through the fixtures, toilets, stuff like that, that's being installed to obviously keep everyone's costs down? Now, in terms of options for fixtures, walls, appliances, cabinets, you definitely want to know what are the options and what are the upgrades and choices that you have. Because obviously whatever the standard is, it may not be to your liking, and if you can upgrade it for the cost, you might want to do that. Now, in terms of the construction of the building, were there any environmental considerations taken into play? This is, sometimes a great selling feature for most developers, that obviously they're being efficient and keeping the environment intact from around surrounding. You're going to want to know what they're doing with that. Now, as we're talking about the surrounding areas, you definitely want to know what the overall developer's plan is for the surrounding area. Is this building one of many that are going in? Is there other buildings that are being constructed around you that at some point might be even higher than your unit that could obstruct your view And if you're buying into your place and the view is a big selling point for you, you definitely want to know what's going on right behind you or right in front of you. So understanding the surrounding areas and what's going on, whether it be with the developer or with another developer, you definitely want to do your research on what the impact is in the next 5 to 10 years in that direct area. Now moving forward, you definitely want to be clear of what you're paying for and what's included in the purchase price. So this would mean with amenities. What amenities are being included with the property? Is it tennis courts, pools, gyms, guest suites, all these? Is it included? What's included with the building? In terms of parking, is there extra cost for parking? If not, is there rental units available in terms of parking spaces, storage spaces? What are the costs of that? Is it included? In terms of utilities, what are your responsibilities on paying for utilities? Is hydro included? Is it not? Is there anything that's expected on top of your purchase price for you to be paying for? So understanding that and those numbers are very important, because if you're trying to keep within a budget, it's very important. Now, in terms of your condo maintenance fees, are they realistic? Now, are they gonna, typically fees typically go up in the first couple of years, because after there's a fund study, they're gonna adjust, and if it's not properly managed, they're gonna make those adjustments and obviously pass the extra costs on to each owner. So it's clear to understand that sometimes developers cover some expenses in the first year. If that's the case, you definitely want to know that, because come second year, there might be an adjustment that you should be aware of. So very important. Now, another thing you want to double check is if your unit comes with home warranty, which basically ensures that it's been properly constructed and meets all legal regulations. Now, warranty could last for major stuff, could last from 5 to 7 years after the building's completed. But you want to know exactly when and what is covered. So if anything goes down, you're covered. Now, when it comes down to advertised completion date, it's good to have an understanding that where they're currently at in construction to where they're going to be ending up with completion date. Like, is it realistic to what they're advertising? If they're advertising for occupancy in the next couple of months, is the building even constructed, or is there going to be delays? There's typically a lot of delays with new construction. So making sure that there's someone on a time frame, checking with the developer, like, do they normally hit their timelines? These questions and finding out this information is very key, because if you're looking to obviously move into your unit, you definitely want to have your schedule lining up with theirs. And if not, you can make arrangements so that you're not at some point out of a place to live. Now, another great thing that, depending on where your project's located, you could request a disclosure statement. Now, like I said, and this is basically going to have your rules, regulations, financial situation of the condominium. It's going to have the budget, maybe of first year, summary of all the features, the condominium governing documents. You definitely want to get all these and have an understanding of what you're buying. And this is going to give you a lot of those, basically your summary of this. So, and obviously you want to definitely go through this with, before signing anything with your agent, or you want to have your lawyer go through this stuff with you. Very important stuff, because you want to know exactly what you're getting into before buying something, because at the end of the day, if you end up buying something and down the road you didn't know, you should ask those questions first. So like, comment, share, guys. I hope this helps you out. If you're in the Toronto market, you definitely want to hit me up, because this is what I do. We'll catch you on the next one, though. Take care.